Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and today we're going to be playing Arkham Horror, the card game, on Tabletop Simulator. That really makes it sound a lot lamer than it is, doesn't it? Like if I said, oh yeah, you want to come over and play Breaking Bad, the card game? I mean, you might be interested if you really like Breaking Bad, but it probably would be sort of a light filler, kind of lame game. But Arkham Horror, the card game, or Arkham Horror, the LCG, whatever, is it's probably the best Cthulhu Mythos board game ever made. It is sort of a storytelling game. It's a lot like a lot of the other games we've been playing, where you play through scenarios with different characters, with different abilities, trying to fight different monsters and accomplish different objectives. But with this, everything is done with cards. That's really the only difference. So there's no miniatures moving around the board on a grid or anything like that. It's all about cards. And sometimes, you know, it sort of feels like things moving around on a grid because of the way the cards are set up for the scenario and blah, blah, blah. And it gets really just thematic and immersive and just cool. The types of number of things they do with just using different cards is really cool, really creative. So what we're going to do here, I'm not going to, you know, this isn't going to be, there's a lot of content for this game. I mean, up here, you've got like all the different expansion sets and things like that. God, it's a lot of like homebrew stuff going on. Stranger Things scenarios and oh my gosh. I mean, this is all just on Tabletop Simulator. I assume you could like print and play this kind of stuff. But yeah, you know, the main stuff is these bunch of core expansions. And each one of these core expansions has like well, there's like, I think there's 3 scenarios in the box, and then you buy like 6 additional scenarios to round out the storyline. There's a lot of content for this game. If you get into Arkham Horror, the card game, you have content for quite a while if you want to purchase it all. But even the base game by itself has just a nice, fun campaign. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to play through the core game storyline, the core game campaign, and we're either going to go all the way until we complete it, or we're going to go until we basically fail the campaign. And it'll be very blunt about it when we do fail the campaign. It's not necessarily when we like fail a scenario. It could be. It really depends on the scenario. But yeah, we're gonna go with the core game. Now this mod, I should warn you if you're interested in checking this out. This mod, it's called Arkham Horror, the card game, the Super Complete Edition. It's not on Steam anymore. It's not on the workshop anymore. It was removed like a year ago. Because Fantasy Flight and Asmodee just knew up. It was more Asmodee, I think. Once Fantasy Flight got bought out by Asmodee, they really strike down on that kind of stuff. So, it's not on tabletop. I've had this. I mean, I've had this for a few years, a couple of years, just sitting around. But there is a Discord you can join. The TTS club on Discord. They have a whole like channel just devoted to people saving mods that have been removed, and you can just find it on there. It's a pretty popular one from what I understand, because it's a popular card game, and this is Yeah, pretty much the best way to play it, even if you do own all the stuff, which I do. So yeah, just forewarning there. Okay, so the base game, this core storyline here is just these 3 scenarios. So hopefully, I think we will get to see all 3, because the first 2, even if you like really fuck up and fail, I believe you still get to continue on. I believe it's been a while since I've done the first storyline. Yeah. So, we could play that. Well, I don't know why I'm yellow. What's up with that? Oh god, all these colors suck. Okay, make me black. No, I can't be black. It's not allowed. I have to fucking orange or yellow. Why are those 2 colors here? At the bottom, at the base, there should be like white and blue or something. Fine, I'll be yellow. All right. So I could play this two-handed with 2 characters, much like we did like Journeys of Middle-earth or Mansions of Madness. I could even play 4-handed if I felt like it, but we're just gonna try 1 character. And I managed to find... so of course, deck building is a concept in here of building your own deck from scratch and mixing and matching all sorts of cards and trying out different like character builds and things like that. It's really robust. I've never really been into that, the time that it takes to try things out and flick through. I mean, it's just not... It doesn't interest me that much. You think it would, but it doesn't. But I like playing other people's decks that they've experimented with. So this one here is called A Skilled Detective is the name of the deck. It features Roland Banks as the character, the Fed, and this was like the most popular Roland Banks deck, and the creator said that they did very well in a solo campaign. Even grabbing all 6 cultists in Midnight Mass solo, which is pretty impressive, I think. So we're going to try out this deck. It seems pretty basic, pretty simple, nothing too complicated. And in this mod, they have this nice deck builder that's hooked into the ArkhamDB.com website, which is where everyone posts all their cool decks. So you just put in the number of the deck on the site, and you click build it, and it'll go in on the site. I don't know how the fuck this works, and it will read all the card lists. It'll grab all the cards, put together your deck, and it will put in a random weakness card, which is a necessary card that has to be thrown in there. So there you have it. That's the deck. It's all ready to play. All our cards are in there, so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. We do need our investigator though, who should be from the core set. Yep, there he is. So we're just doing some base game stuff here. Oh, we have alternate art. All right, let's roll with that alternate art. I don't mind that. It's cool. There's a starter deck that you can just roll with, but no, we'll do the cool custom deck. Yeah. All right, and I haven't played this game in probably a year, so I might be a little rusty on some of the rules, but it's not that complicated of a game. Draw. There you go. All right. So we get 9 health, 5 sanity. You can see there, Roland Banks. He's got a 3 willpower, 3 intellect, 4 fight or strength or whatever, and 2 dexterity, dodge, evasion. One of those. His special ability is after he defeats an enemy, he can discover a clue at his location. which is pretty good. That's a raging clue, I believe they call it. And his Elder Sign effect is +1 for each clue on his location. And then on the back of each character, you get a little bit of lore and how their deck building options. So there's like 5 different types of cards, or like classes of cards. There's Guardian cards, Seeker cards, God, oh man, I don't remember the other names, but these are basically the red, purple, green, yellow, blue. Blue is generally more like combat stuff, like straight up fighting stuff. Yellow is usually more investigative stuff. They're the best like clue finders usually. Green is really good for evading enemies. And being a little bit trixier with their kind of stuff. Purple's all about spellcasting and magic spells, and then red, from red, I feel like it's sort of the all-rounder kind of stuff. That's the survivor. So red is survivor, green is rogue, yellow is seeker, blue is guardian, and purple is mystic. And those have been pretty much the same 5 since the start. There is one other category, like, well, Lola Hayes, I think, is like sort of a unique character where she can basically be any of them, and she can flip through any of the 5 at the start of her turn. I don't know. I've never played Lola, and we don't need to know that. Okay. So yeah, you know, if you're into deck building, there's a lot of cool options. Okay, let's set up the first scenario, the Gathering. So you just press a button and away it goes. Yep. Oh, we should set this for 1. I don't think that fucked it up, but all right. That's it. That's the setup. That's the whole setup for the first scenario. So there's basically, well, let's set standard difficulty, I guess. Okay, yeah. For every scenario, generally, I mean, there's obviously always weird exceptions, but generally there's going to be an agenda deck and there's going to be an act deck. The agenda deck is sort of the negative one. The agenda deck progresses as Doom builds up across the board and across characters and things like that. And generally you want the agenda deck to not progress forward. You want to work to try and slow that down or stop it. The act deck is how you want, it's generally how you win the scenario. It's how you progress. It usually involves gathering clues, finding clues and gathering them and putting them on this card so that you can progress. Okay, and the agenda, you know, they both sort of contain our story here. Starting with the agenda deck. What's going on? It is late at night. You're holed up in your study, researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor. Trapped. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. Alright, so we have one location card in play, the study. This is the only location available to us. So this is where we will be starting, and we should have... okay, cool campaign log, that's pretty cool. Alright, okay, there's no... Maybe that was a bit too much to hope for. There should be, other, like, text involved. But I guess maybe... Hold on, let me just look. No, okay, never mind. No, okay. This is all... This is all sort of stuff that's out. Learn to play... Yeah, okay. Yeah, alright, so... I guess it's not really... Either there might just be nothing you need to know, but usually it tells you, like, where you start. But I guess for this one it doesn't. You know where you're starting. So, whenever there's a character on a location... Right now this is a face-down location. It just says... You've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several days now. Your desk is covered in newspaper articles, police reports, and witness accounts. So... Generally, during a scenario, there's going to be a number of face-down locations that you haven't been to yet. But as soon as the character gets there, we flip it over. So we're here now. And so this is the study. It has a symbol in the upper left, which it matters for movement purposes, but we can't go anywhere yet. You'll see that this symbol means that when this card is first visited, you're going to put 2 clues per investigator on it. So that's 2. That does it automatically for us, which is really nice. And the other number here, the 2, is the shroud value. This is essentially the number, the skill check number that you need to beat. I don't remember. It might be equal or surpass. I guess that would be... something to remember. Skills. Well, I guess it's good to, because it's the same for any skill test we might do. Match or exceed. Okay, good. Just clarifying. So for our investigate skill test, we'll need to get a 2 or higher in order to get 1 clue off of this card. So the game at the start of the game, you're going to get 5 cards into your hand. So here's our starting hand: perception, beat cop, evidence, guts, and emergency cache. You get a mulligan at the start of the game. So any cards of the 5 that you don't want, you set aside, redraw, and then shuffle. You also start with 5 resources. So resources are your currency for playing cards. In the upper left of a lot of cards, you can see there's a number. That's how much it costs to play it. Pretty simple. We definitely want perception. Perception's going to help with us investigating. Evidence can also help with that. Let's get rid of emergency cache. We don't need that. And let's get rid of guts, I think. So then we're going to draw 2 more cards to replace them. Okay, we got the magnifying glass. That's good. These will get shuffled back in. And now we can start. So on your turn, first you would do the Mythos phase, but we're not doing that. Then we get 3 actions on our turn. These are generally like moving, investigating, fighting, or playing a card. So here's all the actions. You can draw a card or gain 1 resource. You can play an event or asset from your hand. You can activate an action ability on a card. You can move, you can investigate, you can fight, or you can attempt to evade. Sounds like a lot of actions, but it's pretty simple. Especially right now in our starting situation. All we need to do is get these 2 clues. And we're trying to investigate a way out of this study. So, as an action, we can just do an investigate. That is one of our potential actions. A basic investigation action will just test our intellect, which is 3, against the shroud value of the location we're on. So that's a 3 versus a 2, which seems pretty good. It's not bad, but we introduced the the randomness of the game, and that is in the chaos bag, the chaos markers. So the chaos tokens. At the start of every campaign, there is a chaos bag created, largely influenced by like the difficulty that you set. So this bag contains all sorts of, I guess I can just show you because it doesn't matter. It contains a lot of numbers, and so these are just going to directly modify your skill value. So if you draw a -1, it takes my intellect down to a 2. So I would still succeed if I drew a -1. If I drew a -2, however, I would fail. If you draw a -4, obviously you very much fail. So the numbers are pretty self-explanatory. There's the red tentacle thing. That is an auto fail no matter what. So if you draw that, you just insta fail. The blue elder sign, if you draw that, you get a benefit based on the elder sign effect on your character card. So remember, Roland's elder sign effect is he gets +1 per clue on his location. So right now that would be a +2. That's pretty good. And then there's all the other symbols, and those differ depending on the scenario, and that's what this card is right here. So if we draw the skull symbol, it's -X, where X is the number of ghoul enemies at my location. So right now that would be 0. That would work. The green hooded figure is -1, and if you fail the skill test because of that, you take a horror. And then the sort of the rock looking thing, I don't know what that is. It's -2, and if there's a ghoul enemy with you, you take a damage. So this chaos bag, you're going to be drawing it for basically any action you do that requires, well, basically any fighting action or investigate or all sorts of encounter cards that make you do skill tests of different types. You're going to be drawing from this bag. It is the bane of your existence. So, yeah, let's just do, well, no, okay. First, we want to equip our magnifying glass. This costs 1 resource, based in the upper left. It's a fast card, which means that it doesn't actually cost an action to equip. So that's good. We can just throw this out there, and we still have 3 actions. And it gives us +1 intellect whenever we investigate, whenever we do an investigate action. So that brings us up to a 4 for our first investigate. And we're going to click this button to draw a token. I believe that's a -2. Yep. Okay. So that brings our 4 down to a 2, but that still matches the shroud value. So we get the clue. So we could just tick this up, but whatever. I like having the token. This goes back in the bag. And let's spend our second action to investigate again. 4 against 2. There. Okay, that doesn't... Hold on. The odds of that seem a little slim. Let me just try... Okay. Alright, you don't have to shuffle the box. But, alright, so that's -1. We don't fail. And so that is the second clue. So then at any point, unless it specifies otherwise, we can just spend those clues as not an action. And put them on the card. So we have now spent the requisite number of clues. We can flip this over. You notice that the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Alright. So now we're going to put into play the set-aside hallway, cellar, attic, and parlor. So, hallway, cellar, attic, parlor. Okay. Discard each enemy in the study, but there isn't any. And we remove the study from the game, and we each go in the hallway. So this we can just delete. The hallway can go here. Moment of panic and disorientation strikes as you land upon the floor of the hallway. The world spins as if turned on its head. Alright, so there we are. We're in the hallway. You'll notice that this place has no clues. It does have a shroud value because sometimes clues can be placed around. And then the other locations, their actual orientation almost never matters. Because it's not like you're moving like you're moving to adjacent things like that. The orientation doesn't matter. This could be over here, you know. This could, it doesn't matter. Okay, I think that was all that. All right. And then we reveal the next card. The barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlor. As you move toward it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up the handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. So now we have to get 3 clues, and we have to be in the hallway in order to spend them. And this activates at the end of the round. So if we're at the hallway with 3 clues at the end of the round, we can progress. All right, so I have 1 action left. Let's go ahead and play the Beat Cop. Beat Cop. He's an ally. So an ally means that he has health and sanity values. If either one goes to 0, he goes away. He's gone. So, you know, he is losable. And that costs us 4 resources. But he gives us +1 fight, bumping us up to 5, which is pretty solid. We can also discard him at any time to deal 1 damage to an enemy in our location. Which, you know, if to finish something off, it's not the worst idea in the world. Okay, that was our 3rd action to play that. So that is the end of our investigation phase. Then the enemies, any enemies present would move and or attack. And finally the upkeep phase, where we ready and reset things. We get 1 card and 1 resource. So 1 card, 1 resource. And if you have more than 8 cards, you go down to 8. And we start the round over. Now with the Mythos phase. So first thing is that the agenda is going to go up by 1 automatically. Other effects can of course cause this to go up more, but otherwise once per round it goes up 1. Then we're going to draw an encounter card. So it's a whole fat stack of them. There's 26 cards in there. A bunch of them are enemies. The rest are all just like skill check related stuff that can mess us up. So let's just see what we get. We got Obscuring Fog. So this will be attached to our location, the hallway. And it gets +2 Shroud. Which does not matter to us because there's no clues here. But this changes the Shroud value from 1 to 3, making it harder to find clues. But if it's ever successfully investigated, you discard it. That's about as good of an encounter card as we could hope for. Alright, then we move on to the next... our next investigation phase. So... yeah, I don't think we need to worry about cards right now, so let's just move. So as for movement, I mentioned the symbol in the upper left. So at the bottom of every location card you're on, there's going to be colored symbols. And that means that this location is connected to each one of those. So from here, you could move to any other of those symbols, which, as you can see, is each of the other 3 locations. Now, of course, we can't go to the parlor because it's got this this barrier, but we can go to the attic or the cellar. I think let's go to the attic. So, and you can see on the attic, it's connected only to the hallway, so you can't go from the attic straight to the cellar. Makes sense, right? It's pretty slick. So let's flip over the attic. 2 clues get spawned immediately. Forced, after you enter the attic, take 1 horror. So no matter what, we lose a sanity. I probably should have those starting at 0, I guess. I guess that makes more sense. More consistent with their verbiage. Alright, so that's fine. There's 2 clues here. It's a shroud value of 1, so it's super easy to investigate. I guess the clues are very obvious. The bloody carcass of a malformed beast swings from a meat hook chained to the ceiling. Yeah, hard for Roland Banks to miss that. And you'll notice down here in the lower right, victory 1. So what that means for locations is if you clear it out of clues, if you get every clue that's on the card, at the end of the scenario, this was worth 1 victory point. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds very Euro-ish, but no, victory points are good because they give you XP to spend on upgrading your cards and your deck. So it's pretty good. But alright, we're going to investigate twice now with our other 2 actions. So this is a 4 against a 1. We stand pretty good odds. Yep, so there's a -1. That's a success. I don't know why this... I have to double click for it to do anything. Alright, and that's a -2. So we're all good. We get both clues added here. Good, 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 good. So that's not quite enough to advance, and we need 3, but we're on our way. There's no enemies, we don't have to worry about that. Upkeep phase, we're going to get another resource and another card. All right, unexpected courage is very good. We'll get to what these sort of gray cards do eventually. Then we got the Mythos phase, so agenda's going up by 1 again. And we're drawing another encounter card. I'm going to hazard that this wasn't shuffled, even though it should be. I don't know, it seems cheap to do that twice in a row. There we go, Crypt Chill. All right, so this is a hazard. This is not an enemy, it's just an event. So Revelation means when it's revealed. Test Willpower 4. If you fail, choose and discard 1 asset you control. That would be kind of shitty. I'd rather not fail this. An asset I control is either the magnifying glass or the beat cop. Yeah, so right now we're at 3 against a 4, which it could succeed, but it's pretty unlikely. So let's go with one of our cool cards here. So on all these cards, you'll see symbols on the left-hand side here. So this one has 2 intellect symbols, 2 intellect, 2 question mark, 2 intellect. What those mean is when you do a skill test, you can discard that card in order to gain that benefit for that skill test. So if I was doing an intellect skill test, like an investigate, I could dump this card, discard it, and I'd gain a +2 for that roll, for that check. Pretty handy. And so your normal cards tend to have these as well. So you could just dump them just for that, you know, momentary benefit. But the gray ones are specifically designed for that. They're specific. They're skill cards. They're just specifically designed to be dumped when doing a skill test. Like the perception one, if you use this during a skill test and discard it, and you succeed on it, if it's successful, you get to draw a card again. So it pays for itself. Unexpected courage doesn't have that, but the question marks mean you can use this for any test. Whatever you're testing, it works out. So let's dump unexpected courage. That increases our willpower to 5. So now we're doing 5 against 4. Still not guaranteed, far from it, but the odds are with us. Sort of. All right, so we got minus X, the number of ghouls at our location, so that's -0, which is definitely a success. So we can just discard that and live our life happily. Free of worry for one more turn. All right, so that was all good. And now we go back to our investigation. So now we have to spend 2 actions to move. We have to go back to the hallway and then down to the cellar. But it's, you know, that's the plan. Forced, after you enter the cellar, take 1 damage. So that ticks up. And your cellar seems to have been replaced with an underground network of icy tunnels and caverns. The cold chills you to the core. So this is a shroud value 4. Obviously, you know, a network of tunnels is much harder to investigate than just a big meat carcass. Okay. We have 1 action left. Let's try a perception. This will be a 5 versus a 4. So again, same odds. But, you know. Alright, auto fail, so no matter what I played there, wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, it is what it is. That's the end of that turn. See, that one pretty quick. We get a resource, we get a card, and we draw an encounter card. Oh, wait a minute, before we do that, this goes up to 3, so that's the number on the card. So this progresses now. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you have been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. Lead investigator, which is always going to be me, chooses either each investigator discards 1 card at random, or lead investigator takes 2 horror. 2 horror would be pretty rough, considering Roland only has 5 sanity. So I guess we'll discard at random. We're gonna dump this, do this, shuffle, and it's evidence. Alright. That's a bummer, but whatever. Evidence is basically a duplicate of Roland's innate power, so it's not too bad. Alright. So that was an effect, and now Agenda 2A, Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. Alright, so Doom goes down to 0 then, and the new number is 7. Let me just double check that Doom does go down to 0. I'm pretty sure it does, but I've been wrong in the past. Remove all Doom from play. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. That was my first thought. Okay, so that's that. So if it gets back up to 7, it's going to progress again and get even worse. So let's draw our encounter card. We got Dissonant Voices. Revelation, put this into play in your threat area. And basically, at the end of the round, you're going to discard this, but for this turn, you cannot play assets or events. Which is a bummer. I was sort of planning on doing that. And I was sort of hoping to get an enemy that I could kill to get a free clue. But alright. That means that we just gotta rely on good old-fashioned luck. We've got 3 actions here. I can Unexpected Courage, or I can do Working a Hunch. I can still discard this shit to boost my skill. But let's just do 1 and see how it goes. 4 versus 4. +1, there you go, so that's a clue. Now, technically, that's all we need. We have 3. We only need 3. But this one also has the victory 1. So if I get this other clue, that's another victory point. It's kind of worth it. We're really not at much threat of losing here. So let's go again, second. And we got a 0, which is another success. That's pretty darn lucky. Alright, there you go. And then my third action will be to move back to the hallway. Alrighty. And we get a resource. We draw a card. Alright, we got another evidence. This gets discarded. And it's the end of the round, so we're going to spend our 3 clues. 1, 2, 3. Alright. And we get to flip this bad boy over. Using the barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades out of existence. Oh, so there you go. That's what we were doing. That's what all that was about. The barrier blocking passage into the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. So we flip that over. Alright. Put the set-aside Lita Chantler into play in the parlor, and spawn the set-aside Ghoul Priest. Okay, so our other 2 set-aside cards here. Yeah, so she is a potential ally. She's going in the parlor. The Ghoul Priest spawns... Spawns... Oh, in the hallway. Okay. So he's right with us. Which technically means that he immediately engages with us, so he goes into our threat area. Which restricts our potential actions allowed when you have something engaged with you. Okay, so that's that. What have you done? A woman with a torch stands in your parlor, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and a deer skull mask tears through the wall, advancing toward you. Alright, so there's no clue requirement now. Our objective is instead to kill the Ghoul Priest. Alrighty. So let us look at our first enemy here. He's a big boy. So he has 5 health. He has 5 health per investigator, so for us he just has 5 health. His fight score is 4. His evasion, or his dexterity or whatever, is 4. Meaning that to hit him on a fighting skill check, I have to get 4 or higher. And to evade him on an evasion skill check, I have to get 4 or higher. He's a hunter, so every round he will continue to hunt his prey, whoever on the board has the highest fight score. And he has retaliate, which means that I believe every time you hit him, he will retaliate back and hit you. Or is that... No, that's when you fail to hit him. So if you ever fail a skill check to hit the Ghoul Priest, he will immediately hit you. If you hit him, I don't think it does anything. I'd have to double check that, but I didn't think so. Yeah, no, you can attack just fine, and most enemies, you know, they don't have retaliate, so even if you fail, you don't get hit. It's just with Ghoul Priest, if you fail, he hits you. He'll also hit you during phase 3, so you could potentially rack up a lot of damage if you fail and he hits you. So when he hits you, you're gonna take 2 physical damage and 2 horror damage. That's what those symbols are there, which that's painful. That's painful. I do have the beat cop, so I can offload some pain and horror to him, but yeah, he's a tough little cookie. As for the damage we do, by default, with no weapons involved or anything like that, just punching them, you do 1 damage on a successful hit, which means I'd have to successfully hit this guy 5 times. Now, weapons obviously influence that usually. And we also have this Vicious Blow skill that I can play during an attack, which will give me +1 fight. And if it hits, it does +1 damage. Now, while I'm engaged with this guy, I basically can only fight him, evade him, or activate a Parlay or Resign ability. If I do anything else, he hits me. Which is painful, so we're very heavily restricted. Now, if you evade the enemy successfully, so you do a skill check of your dodge evasion versus their evasion, and you succeed, then you essentially exhaust the enemy. You rotate them, you tap them, and they can't do. They don't do anything for the rest of the round. You can walk past them, you can leave them where they are. At the end of the round, all they'll do is just flip back, and they won't attack anything. And so that's that. Yeah. So, let's see. That was the end of the round. So now we do the Mythos phase. So this ticks up, and we get an encounter card. So this could be another enemy we have to face. It's not. It's the Rotting Remains. We test willpower 3. For each point you fail by, take 1 horror. That's pretty rough. Because we're already, we're only at a 3 as it is. I can't really afford to lose any more from that. So let's spend Unexpected Courage, bumping us up to a 5. And we got an auto fail. That's really bad, because what that means is that essentially we rolled like a 0. Our skill value for that test overall was a 0. So we lose 3 horror, or we take 3 horror. So I'll take 1. I'd rather not shit on the beat cop that much, so I guess I have to take 2, which sucks. And the beat cop has to take, oh god, that image, the image of the horror symbol doesn't work. That's lame. Yeah, you know, as these mods fall off, Steam, they're not updated, so these URLs are not updated. I'm sure someone has a full backup with updated URLs, but does the health work? No, the health doesn't work either. That's pretty bad. I'm sure I can just pull this from some other mod. Just hold on a second. All right. I copy pasted these from the Arkham Horror 3rd Edition mod. These are pretty good ones, because these are just these have the little tick down, so you don't have to keep dragging and dropping or whatever multiple tokens. So yeah, these are good. All right, so that solves that. They're a little big. I guess I could make them. Hold on, let's make them a little smaller. That's way too big. There you go. Gotta love that tabletop simulator. There you go. So he is taking 1 sanity, and this is looking a little worse for wear. That red really sucked. We might end up dying now. Okay, you get discarded, and now it is our turn. Good lord. So if I fail once, or at the end of the round, even if I don't fail, we're gonna lose the beat cop. I can't discard him because I need him to absorb 1 sanity loss, otherwise I'm fucked. So yeah, it's a kind of a dire situation. We have a 5 fights to start. We might as well start big with the Vicious Blow. So we're gonna hit him. This is a 6 fight versus his 4. And if it hits, would do 2 damage. We got a 0, so that is a hit. So we can put this on here. He's taken 2 damage out of his 5. So no matter what, we're not going to kill him this round, even if I continue to pummel him. But it's a start. Alright, let's do the second hit. This is now 5 versus 4. These are not good odds. Alright, luckily that's still a hit. Just barely. So he's at 3 out of 5. And we'll do our third attack. Alright, again, -1. Oh, God. That's really... Again, I'll show you the bag. Just to, again. So... I mean, any of those -2, -3, -4, that would all have fucked us. And this stone symbol would have been -2. That would have fucked us. And this red thing would have fucked us. So, that's pretty lucky overall. So that's 4. So now I can discard the beat cop, and it'll do 1 damage and die, and that's pretty good. So let's dump the beat cop. We don't need his services anymore. This thing takes 5 damage and is dead. Let me grab my health there. All right. So technically, he goes into the victory display. He doesn't get discarded because he's a special card. He's worth 2 victory points. And we have killed him, so we get to flip this immediately. When the robed creature falls, the fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground, and the chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in your parlor doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal that was set to trap the ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now we must take more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. Lead investigator must decide. It was never much of a home, burn it down. Or, this hell pit is my home. No way are we burning it. Alright. Yeah, see, I'm a little confused, and I feel like there's some stuff missing here. And I feel like it probably was here originally. I feel like I remember this mod having it, but maybe I'm wrong. But okay, so what that means is you're supposed to be looking at like the rule book, the document, for this campaign, and you'd be looking and reading either Result 1 or Resolution 1 or Resolution 2. But I don't have... I don't have that document. I mean, obviously I have it somewhere. I own it, but I actually... Hold on, give me. I think it's right behind me. Yep, I forgot. I had pulled out all my Arkham Horror stuff because I was planning to play it again with my mom. So I have the Night of the Zealot campaign guide here. So let's go with I'm not, I'm not gonna read it. You're not supposed to read the resolution before you pick which option. But I've played this plenty of times, so we're gonna go with it was never much of a home, burn it down. Resolution 1. You nod and allow the red-haired woman to set the walls and floor of your house ablaze. The fire spreads quickly, and you run out the front door to avoid being caught in the inferno. From the sidewalk, you watch as everything you own is consumed by the flames. Come with me, the woman says. You must be told of the threat that lurks below. Alone, we are surely doomed, but together, we can stop it. So in our campaign log, we will record that our house was burned to the ground. So then you go over here. House was burned to the ground. Simple as that. Lead investigator earns the Lita Chantler card and may include it in his or her deck. So this card right here is an ally. You can play this like any other card. It's a pretty good ally. She doesn't cost anything. She has 3 health, 3 sanity. You get +1 fight while having her in play. And whenever you hit an enemy, you deal +1 damage. So, yeah, pretty good. The lead investigator suffers 1 mental trauma from watching his or her home becoming a smoldering ruin. Oh yeah, that's what I forgot about. So, okay. Let's see. Player name is Mangg. Investigator is Roland Banks. And he has 1 mental trauma, which means he will now start every scenario with 1 horror. That's not ideal. And he earned Lita Chandler. Okay, so that's that. And then we earn XP based on the victory display. So we get 1 for this, 1 for this, 2 for the Ghoul Priest, and we earn 2 bonus XP as he or she gains insight into the hidden world of the mythos. So that is a total of 6 XP right there, baby. Okay. Yeah, so probably not actually that was, well, it's the first scenario, so I don't mind spoiling the other option. But basically the other option, instead of the mental trauma, we would have gotten 1 bonus XP, so another XP, but we wouldn't have gotten Lita Chandler. And she is really good, especially if we're going to be combative. Having another +1 fight and the +1 damage at all times, that's really good. So we'll just have to put up with that trauma. Okay, so now we can upgrade cards. So how upgrading cards works, if I there you go. I don't know what the difference is here. I don't think there is a difference. Oh, I think it's just the same cards. It just lets you have two of them up. So you could have like blue here. You could have blue up there and then green cards down here. That's what you can do. All right, so I think we're mostly just interested in blue cards. So how upgrading works, you can't have any of these upgraded cards in your starting deck, obviously. But in the upper left of each card, right below its cost, you'll see there's a number of dots. So here's a bunch of 1 dots, 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots, 5 dots is the max. That's its XP cost. Every dot is 1 XP. So I don't think there's any other crazy rules. I think you could, if you wanted, I could spend 5 XP on 1 card right now. But you know, and the real rule is that you have to have a certain amount of cards in your deck. So Roland Banks, his deck size is 30, so he has to have 30 cards in his deck, not counting his 2 special unique cards and a random weakness. So his total count is 33, but the stuff that we can mess with, there's 30 cards. So if I add a card, I gotta remove a card. So this deck builder page has some upgrade suggestions, which I will of course utilize. Upgraded Beat Cop is the first priority, so that is an asset. Let's look for the Beat Cop upgrade right here. It's going to cost 2 XP. Let me grab the original so we can just compare the two. All right, so same cost. It does get an added evasion symbol on the left if you want to dump it. Still gives +1 fight. He has +1 health, so that's fine. And now, instead of discarding him to deal damage to an enemy at your location, you can instead exhaust him and deal a damage to the Beat Cop in order to deal damage to an enemy at your location. That's a lot better, because I don't really need to put damage on this guy in order to soak damage, because Roland can soak some fucking damage. But so being able to use him multiple times to deal free damage to an enemy, that's pretty solid. So we're gonna grab a beat cop upgraded. All right, so that costs 2 of our 6 XP. All right, there you go. What else here? Upgraded magnifying glass is nice, but not strictly necessary. Shotgun should work well given the abundance of skills, but just make sure to save 1 or 2 overpowers in that case. Police badge is a good option since you don't have too much else to pay for. Enjoy. Alright, that's not a whole lot to go off of, but that's fine. There's not many scenarios here. Alright. Upgraded magnifying glass. That's a seeker card. Right here. So again, let me grab the original just for comparison. So compared to the original, it costs 1 less, so it's free. It's still fast, so it's free and doesn't cost an action, and gives you +1, well, investigating, +1 intellect. But it also gains the bonus of, if there's no clues at your location, you can just return it to your hand. And that's kind of important because it does take up one of your 2 hand slots. So if I wanted to use a 2-handed weapon, I couldn't have the magnifying glass out. And with the base version, you'd be kind of screwed. You'd have to like discard it in order to equip a 2-handed weapon. But here, especially because it costs nothing and it doesn't cost an action to put out there, you can just keep swapping this in and out, which is sort of how you'd expect to use a magnifying glass, but you know, it is what it is. So let's grab that. I always like that card. So that's 1 more XP. We're down to 3. They mentioned the shoddy. Let's look at the shoddy. I do like shotguns. Look at that. That costs 4. But what do you have in the 3 range? What's in the 3 category? The enchanted blade. That's pretty cool. Or the 45 Thompson. Yes. Ammo spent from the 45 Thompson is placed in your resource pool as resources. What the fuck? Do you fire bullets and get money? So yeah, this gets 5 ammo, so when you play it, you get 5 shots with it. As an action, you can spend 1 of that ammo to get +2 fight and +1 damage. It seems like a really good gun. Costs 6 to play, so it's a hefty cost, but you do get 5 of that money back by shooting. 5 of those resources back. The enchanted blade has 3 charges. You can use an action to fight, getting +2 fight for the attack, +2 strength for the attack. If you succeed, you can spend 1 of the 3 charges to empower the blade, dealing +1 damage. If the blade's empowered in this attack, defeats an enemy, draw a card, and heal a horror. So this one is interesting because it doesn't use up a charge to give you the +2 fight bonus. Meaning that you could use this indefinitely and only use up a charge when you need the +1 damage. I kind of like that a lot. And it costs only 3. And it's pretty badass. It's a fucking enchanted blade. Now, this deck guide, of course, you know, mentions the shotgun, but that's because this guide was written 5 years ago. And these cards, as you can see, are from 3 years ago. So these cards were not available. They were not out yet when this deck guide was written. So we can adjust things. So let's grab the enchanted blade for 3 more XP. I really like that. I think that's a badass thing to pick up. Now we do have to remove a card. We're gonna be removing a skill card because we have an abundance of those, and The obvious choice would be overpower, which you can spend to add 2 fight to a check. Since we would normally use this for fights anyways, and we're adding a card that gives us a lot of plus fight, I guess that's the smart choice. So we're just gonna delete that. And if we put this here, we should have 34. Yep. So we added Lita Chandler. All right. So that's all that. My XP is 0. And we should be able to just recall this. Okay, that didn't recall everything. So we can just delete this other stuff. Delete this, delete this. Okay, we can keep rolling, but we can delete the rest of this. And then all you would do is hit place on the second one. And you can see this one is going to be a bit more complicated. Now that you got the basics down, we get to go a little bit heavier. And that's what we'll be doing next time. Yeah, it's odd. I don't know. It's odd that the campaign guides aren't here. It feels like... Oh, fuck it. What? How did I miss that? How did I... What did I don't know how I missed that. It even has a big arrow. It says campaign guide. Oh my god. I'm an idiot. I mean, it's funny I had it on hand, but that proves that I own it. I'm not cheating here. All right, well then I can put this back and we can just use this. So yeah, this will tell you like a little bit of text for your setup for the campaign. This will tell you how to build the chaos bag for each difficulty and you know, set up the encounter, set up all the encounter cards, blah 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 blah. But yeah, so we're gonna be moving on to the Midnight Masks next time. Good stuff. Great game. I mean, I've done this campaign like 8 times now, but it's still good. My name is Mangg. This has been Arkham Horror, the card game. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.